The family sat around the dining table, ready to play a card game called Werewolves Asterisk. The game was a role-playing challenge where each player received a card that assigned them a role. Jerome, a middle school teacher, had loved this game as a child and hoped it would bring his family together. However, his father Gilbert, who was suffering from Alzheimer's, struggled to remember the rules or even Jerome's name. Jerome started handing out the cards. His role was the seer, his father was the hunter, his elder daughter Clara was the little girl, and his son Theo was the thief. His wife Marie, a lawyer who handled tough divorce cases involving domestic abuse, and his youngest daughter Louise, also joined the game. But as Jerome distributed the cards, the family began to lose focus. Clara, who sold products through live streams, suddenly got up, worried about losing her online followers. Gilbert, confused and tired, decided to take a nap on the couch. Louise complained she was hungry and left to find something to eat. Theo stayed, but his attention wandered. The goal of the game, to uncover the identities of the werewolves, no longer seemed important to anyone. Frustrated, Jerome decided to pack up the game. As he cleaned up, he flipped over the werewolf card in the center of the table. The moment he did, the ground began to shake violently. Startled, the family scrambled to the basement for safety as the room trembled around them. The family huddled together in the bunker of Gilbert's house, trembling as the ground above them shook. Gilbert, convinced that the Germans were attacking, urged everyone to stay quiet. When the tremors stopped, they cautiously emerged, only to find that the house looked completely different. The furniture was unrecognizable, the decor outdated, and Jerome's car was gone. Worse, Clara was nowhere to be found. Marie suggested they head to the nearby village of Miller's Hollow, where a festival was being held, thinking Clara might have gone there. The family agreed, but as soon as they stepped outside, they noticed something strange. The world looked older. No cars, no electricity, just dirt roads and simple wooden structures. Confused but determined, they made their way to the village. When they arrived at Miller's Hollow, the streets were filled with people dressed in 15th century clothing. The festival wasn't what they expected, it was chaotic and unsettling. As they wandered, they stumbled upon a horrifying scene, an execution in progress. A man accused of witchcraft was tied to a stake, and the villagers were cheering as the flames rose. The family panicked, realizing they were no longer in their time. They fled back to Gilbert's house, hoping to figure out what was happening. At the house, they discovered something even stranger. Clara had returned, but she was invisible. She managed to communicate by spreading flour on the table and writing her name in it. The family realized that the roles they were assigned in the game had come to life, granting them the powers of their characters. Jerome was the seer, Gilbert was the hunter, Theo was the thief, Clara was the little girl, and Louise, though young, seemed attuned to the supernatural. Exploring the house further, they learned it now belonged to one of Gilbert's ancestors, Childeric Vassier, who had been accused of wizardry and was set to be burned at the stake. Suddenly, knights arrived at the house, accusing the family of being witches and wizards. Before they could be taken away, Jerome used his quick thinking to save them. He picked up an old lute he had found and pretended they were a traveling minstrel group called the Minstrels Asterisk. Playing a convincing tune, Jerome managed to impress the sheriff, who allowed them to go free, at least for the moment. As they regrouped inside the house, Gilbert began to remember things more clearly than he had in years. It was as if the time travel had restored his memory. Theo, meanwhile, pieced together the truth. They were trapped inside the werewolves game. Gilbert confirmed it, recalling a forgotten rule of the game. The only way to escape was to find and kill all the werewolves before the werewolves killed them. The family, terrified but determined, realized they would have to play the game for their lives. As night fell over Miller's Hollow, the villagers were hurriedly sent home because it was the time when the werewolves came out. Inside Gilbert's house, the atmosphere grew tense. Suddenly, Louise transformed into a werewolf, her body shifting before their eyes. Jerome could hear her thoughts, but Gilbert, using his hunter strength, quickly held her down and restrained her, saving the family from danger. They managed to calm her once the transformation passed with the break of dawn. The next day, Theo experimented with his role as the thief. He found a soldier's helmet and, when he put it on, he was shocked to find himself transformed into the soldier. His voice, appearance, and actions all changed. Excited yet nervous, Theo showed his new ability to his mother, Marie. She gently warned him not to use his power too often, fearing he might lose himself and become someone else entirely. Theo and Lulu used their abilities to infiltrate the prison where Childeric Vassier is held. Childeric reveals that he didn't invent the werewolves game, it was brought to the village 3 days ago by a mysterious man named Wolfskin. He holds crucial knowledge but remains in prison, awaiting execution. The family's discussion is interrupted when a man named Piero overhears them talking about being from the future. Piero is a charming but secretive Italian painter, hiding his sexuality due to the time period's lack of acceptance toward homosexuality. Despite his guarded nature, Piero seems like a trustworthy ally. The family, now needing assistance, asks him to create a new skin for Clara. He uses a rubber solution for her to step inside, and then carefully paints her features. Clara now has a new identity, one that will help her stay safe in this strange world. As they continue to figure out who the werewolves are, the family starts putting together the pieces. In the town square, a woman is brought forward for execution, accused of being a werewolf. As the sheriff raises his bow and shoots her with an arrow, it's revealed that she truly was a werewolf. In the chaos, Gilbert manages to take the woman's card from the sheriff and adds it to the game. Marie, being a lawyer in the present day, can't ignore the injustice she witnesses. When she sees a woman being beaten by her husband, Marie completely loses control. She publicly exposes her ability to read and write, something almost no one in the village can do. Worse, she speaks out about divorce, something that shocks everyone in a time when it was unheard of. As a result, Marie is sentenced to be burned at the stake, just like Gilbert's ancestor. In the midst of this, Gilbert manages to find another werewolf in the village and steals their card. The family now only has one more werewolf to identify. The tension rises as they realize their time is running out, and they must work together to find the last werewolf before it's too late. Just before Marie's execution, Jerome has a plan to save her. Armed with his lute and a makeshift amplifier he built with Piero's help, Jerome steps up to the execution platform and begins to sing a final song for his wife. The music is a calculated distraction, and as the village turns to watch, Marie is freed in the chaos. The villagers' fascination with the performance buys them the time they need to escape. With teamwork, the family manages to slip away, and Piero, ever the ally, directs them to a safe place. Piero leads the family to the church, where he's constructed a secret tunnel that will help them escape. He gives them the code to enter the tunnel, but just as they're about to leave, a werewolf drops into the church. The situation quickly escalates. Lulu, now at risk of transforming, still has her headphones and tablet, and the family gets her to listen to music to keep her calm. With her distraction, they hope to prevent her from changing into a werewolf. Meanwhile, Gilbert, Theo, and Clara fight off the wolves that have appeared, protecting the family as best they can. But they aren't strong enough to fend off the attackers for long. Just when things look bleak, the sheriff appears. He has his bow and arrow aimed, but instead of attacking the werewolf, he turns the weapon toward the family. In a shocking twist, it's revealed that the sheriff's wife is a werewolf. The sheriff possesses the power of Cupid. If his wife dies, he dies too. This explains why he's been trying so hard to hunt down the other werewolves. He's not just trying to save the village, he's trying to save himself and his wife. Lulu's headphones finally lose power, and she transforms into a werewolf. Jerome and Marie quickly step in, singing to Lulu in an effort to reach her inner self. Their voices break through the transformation, and Lulu begins to remember who she truly is. She realizes she's on the family's side and attempts to fight the massive werewolf threatening them. However, she's overpowered, and the werewolf pushes her against a wall. Lulu falls to the floor, returning to her human form, but with the werewolf card in her hand. Marie, driven by her fierce love for Lulu, taps into her role as a powerful witch. With newfound strength, she defeats the werewolf and restores Lulu's consciousness. In the process, all the family's cards, including the soldiers, materialize in their hands, indicating they've all been playing the game too. The family bids farewell to Gilbert's ancestor and Piero, who, to their surprise, turns out to be Leonardo da Vinci. Before they leave, Jerome tells his ancestor to buy everything Piero paints, acknowledging the genius he's encountered. It's also revealed that Piero has feelings for Jerome, adding a bittersweet layer to their goodbyes. Once back in 2024, the family finds themselves returned to their normal lives. Gilbert, though now forgetting everything, asks Jerome if he's losing his mind because he has vivid memories of knights and werewolves. Jerome reassures him, and the family shares a quiet, emotional moment. In Gilbert's hand, Jerome finds a letter, one written by Gilbert in 1497. It's a letter of gratitude for the time they spent together, even if it was fleeting. As they move forward, they notice something strange. The Mona Lisa now bears a striking resemblance to Jerome, completing the surreal circle of their journey. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.